Hello and welcome back to another CFI cooking demo. Today we are joined by Steven DeVougas.
Yes.
Steven is the VP of Legal and Compliance at CFI. Steven, how long have you been working for CFI?
A little bit over a year now.
Okay. Yeah. And what inspired you to join us for this cooking demo today?
You know what? Cooking has always been a passion of mine. In my former life, I owned a restaurant where I was always playing with flavors. I have a lot of friends who are chefs in the culinary community, and I just love big flavors, especially in the summer. I love Caribbean flavors and Jamaican flavors. So because I have this insatiable desire for jerk chicken, I had to learn how to cook it myself, and that's kind of what inspired this dish.
That's awesome. So can you tell me a little bit about how did you learn how to make jerk chicken?
You know what? It all started with a magazine article, actually. I was looking through a magazine, and there was an article on the chef that cooks for the Olympic team, like many Olympics ago. And I said, okay, this seems like a very accessible recipe, let me try it out. And over time, I've just refined it, added my own little twist and flavor to it. And and now I've broken it down to the rub, the marinade or paste, and barbecue sauce.
That's awesome. Well, and the recipe that Steven is going to be showing us today includes brining the chicken. So that's what we've done. The chicken has been brining overnight. And then Steven's going to show us how to put together the dry rub that you put on the chicken before throwing it into the oven. And this recipe I thought was really nice and an interesting way of making jerk chicken, because not everybody has a grill, not everybody has, that sort of thing to cook chicken. So being able to kind of make it in the oven is a really awesome recipe. So we're really excited to see how it's done.
Yeah, it's a very fun recipe. It's very forgiving, very accessible for home chefs. It's really just fun. You can just really, it's not very precise. You can kind of go by feel. If there's things you like, you can add them. If there's things you don't like, you can leave them out. And so it's very playful. And so whatever flavor you want, it's just a blank canvas for you to play with different flavors and textures.
Awesome. And then we're also going to be preparing a panzanella salad. First, we're going to get started by putting together the dry rub for our chicken.
All right, excellent. So what we have in front of us is our mise en place. Mise en place is French for everything in its place. I normally don't cook like this at home, but for the sake of our viewers, I have measured everything out and prepared it beforehand. Normally, mise en place makes everything goes faster because you don't have to stop and you can just keep going. So what I have is an assortment of spices in front of us, and we're going to assemble them in this bowl. So first, I have some granulated onion powder that goes in. I have some sugar, black pepper, ground ginger, the piece de resistance, the allspice, which is a cornerstone of Caribbean cooking and Jamaican cooking. I have some paprika here. Now if you don't have a smoker or a grill, you can use smoked paprika to add that smoky flavor or smoky undertone. I have some chives. And for the sake of dishes, I've combined some bay leaves and some thyme. And just for a little punch of flavor, a little habanero pepper. So now that I've combined these in the bowl, what you want to do is give them a good mix, Let's see how it comes together. Nothing too crazy. And what you get is a beautiful spice rub, herbaceous, So, and again, like I said, you can play with the flavors, you can play with the spices you include, you can up the heat level, you can temper it down, adjust it to taste. But for our purposes, this looks pretty good. All right, so now we've assembled our rub, and so now it's time to apply it to the chicken. So I personally like to wear gloves when I handle chicken, one, for food safety. Also, just a point of note, make sure you wash your hands before you put the gloves on. Just a little side note for food safety. And then I like to kind of start high up, try to get it evenly distributed, You know, just do it to make sure you get all the parts covered. You know, pat it in. And then don't worry about any excess on the board. I'm gonna take my other hand. Yeah, I don't wanna contaminate. Get it on there. Yeah, so the flavor will be all in. Now, as we mentioned, we have brined this chicken. Brining really is the secret. In addition to the type of cut that you use, rub that in a little bit. That looks good. I want to get a little bit more here. Brining can be either wet brine or dry brine, and that helps you to remove some of the water from the food or from the protein, but it also helps it retain its moisture and flavor. So this looks great. That's why I like that. All right, so now we have brined our chicken. We've applied the dry rub. So now it's time to put it in the oven. What we're going to do is put it in the oven at 400 degrees for about 20 to 30 minutes, depending upon your home oven. What you want to do is try to reach an internal temperature of at least 160 to 165 degrees if you have a meat thermometer. So we're just going to put this in. And one of my favorite things to do is to make sure I always set a timer, especially if I'm cooking multiple things with different cook times. That way I don't lose track of dishes and you don't get things burnt.
So while we're waiting for our chicken to cook in the oven, I'm gonna go ahead and start assembling our panzanella salad. So to start, we're gonna make our vinaigrette, and this vinaigrette is gonna utilize some fresh herbs that we actually picked from MCFI's main campus. So we have some fresh basil and some fresh mint here that I am going to go ahead and chiffonade, which Steven said is French for ribbon. So you roll up the herb and then you make little ribbons out of it. So this is just some basil. So we'll throw that in there. And some fresh mint. Again, just roll it up. When you're cutting, you definitely want to use that sort of claw grip so that you're keeping your fingers out of the way of the knife. So there are herbs in the bowl, and then we're gonna go ahead and add red wine vinegar, about 1/4 cup. Some salt and pepper, and some olive oil. And then we can just go ahead and stir that all together. And then that will top our salad. All right, we are ready to assemble our panzanella salad. So I have 4 cups of romaine lettuce that I've just chopped here. I'm gonna go ahead and add to that some of our French bread that we let sit out overnight so that it could dry and get a little crisp. And then we sear up some bacon, and then we toss the bread in the bacon grease. So we're gonna add that bread to the lettuce. Here are some of those grape tomatoes. Some of these were picked again from main campus, and these were just seared in a little bit of oil with the cut side down. We're gonna add those. And then these are just some roughly chopped heirloom tomatoes. We'll add those. And this is about 6 slices of cooked bacon we're going to add. And then finally, we'll go ahead and put the vinaigrette on top. go ahead and toss all of that together. I think using my hands is probably the best method for this because I don't really know what I would use to toss this together. Okay, Steven, so now that our salad is ready, do you think our chicken is done?
Yeah, let's check.
Okay. Nice.
Beautiful.
Wow.
So what we have here is the jerk chicken is very beautifully done. Now, it looks like it might be burnt, but it's not. We've brined it. We've also put the dry rub on it, and then we set it to a broil because you really want that crispy skin. And we also have measured it with a thermometer, and it's at an internal temperature of 170 to make sure that it has an internal doneness that was cooked all the way through. But it's beautifully cooked. It's supposed to be very dark because of the spices and how we treated it. So don't let that put you off. And plus, chicken quarters and dark meat is very forgiving. So it's very, very difficult to dry it out or burn it.
Okay, and here we have plated our dry rub Jamaican jerk chicken and our panzanella salad. Steven, thank you so much for showing us how to make these delicious items. I can't wait to try it.
Oh, thanks for having me anytime. I hope that you enjoyed it as much as I did.